You know, STEAM inspires inquiry and curiosity and empowers students to ask thought-provoking questions that promote creativity and exploration. But how does the STEAM curriculum connect the students to the real-world solutions? To acquaint you with some of the answers, please welcome Mr. David Sellers. He is the CEO and president of Virtual Design and Construction Institute, who will be speaking on encouraging the STEAM curriculum. Please put your hands together for our friend here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I'm keeping that. We can keep it there.
You want to keep it there? Cool.
Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. I'm going to stay at the podium today. I hope you're all enjoying the conference so far. I want to say thank you to the conference organizers and, of course, everyone else who's presented yesterday, today, and who still has to present. I'm encouraged. I'm learning new things. I'm hearing a lot of things, even on this panel, about, I don't know, alternative options in careers and short-form projects. I'll get to that later. So, but today I'm here to talk about the STEAM curriculum. So, I think this is me. Yep. So my name is David Sellers. I'm the CEO, president at Virtual Design and Construction Institute, a vocational school in San Diego. VDCI teaches design and construction best practices and industry-dominant software. We're primarily adult learners. But more recently, I've been able to sit on an advanced manufacturing panel in San Diego for high school students, and we've been able to integrate with some high schools as well. I'm also a registered architect in California, and I'm a practicing professional. Additionally, I'm an adjunct professor at University of California, San Diego Extension, and I work with some high school students in that integration program through UCSD as well. And finally, I'm certified to teach in Autodesk and Adobe software. These are the software companies. You might not know their names, but you know some of their softwares like AutoCAD, Revit, Fusion, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. These are the things that we teach, and I teach at VDCI. We'll talk a little bit more about the certified instructors towards the end of the presentation. So I'd say that I'm an engineer and an educator at heart, but I have an arts degree through architecture. So it's no surprise I've been teaching STEAM since middle school. I was a tutor, and then I got to college, and I saw a big need for more teaching, more tutoring. My classmates, my peers were not getting software training. So I was doing this type of training throughout college with Penn State Digital Beehive, and then when I graduated, I was able to join VDCI. So I was thinking about the STEAM preparation and the lack of skills provided and what kind of options we see for these students, even in college. So we're going to talk about some of those challenges. But first, let's talk about what STEAM is. So what is STEAM education? Well, we're probably familiar with STEM, science, engineering, math, technology. And STEAM is adding the A. So when we add the A stands for arts. So in early age education, there's often silos surrounding STEM. You do a STEM project, there's no integration. So you introduce arts to influence creativity, innovation, that sort of thing. So this can impact the early age learners especially well when you get an integrated, self-contained classroom. But when you start to grow, what does that look like? Okay, so in primary school, we talked about, in early education, it happens organically. You play, you explore, and you are doing science, you're doing math, you're doing these things as you learn. In primary school, it's encouraged as part of the core curriculum. So these are self-contained classrooms primarily. We'll talk about that on the next slide. When you get to middle school, you get departmentalized classrooms. So the STEAM learning, again, needs to be encouraged as part of the curriculum. When we get to high school, you might start to see real-world applications in STEM. So, STEAM, excuse me. But again, in departmentalized classrooms in high school, you're going to see silos once again. So we're trying to break silos in early age education, but in departmentalized classrooms, we're still stuck in them. And then in higher ed, where we live, primarily specialized curriculum is based on your major or minor or school, but often electives are available to those students. So let's get into some into some stats. I'm excited about that. I talked about classrooms. Let's look at that. So here we can see some stats on classroom types. In primary schools, primarily self-contained classrooms. One instructor all day teaching a group of students. Very easy to integrate a curriculum where you can do different projects that cross different industries. When we get to the middle schools, you see a huge shift to departmentalized. Specialization is important. An instructor knows a skill, they're able to teach that skill. In high school, this gets even more specialized and more departmentalized. So we're used to departmentalized classrooms. It allows for specialization, but when we get into those classrooms, we're right back into the STEAM silos, right? And in high school, students want, more often than not, real-world applications. So how do these departmentalized classrooms prepare the students for those applications? And how can instructors be prepared to teach? So if we see these slides here, we say schools with departmentalized classrooms, they often experience silos, but also having departmentalized STEAM instructors may lead to fewer STEAM resources. Well, we had a gentleman yesterday claiming that it was difficult for their teachers at their school because they were the only advocates for increasing the curriculum. And we see it today, we see it in a lot of these talks. So what kind of strain are we putting on those instructors? Let's look at these resources. Give me a second. Okay. So on the charts here, we see that these resources in a school are often, they've been growing over the past few years, right? This is 2012 to 2018. In primary schools, there's more tech in schools. We know that. This is great news. When we get to middle school, we see that there's more engineering clubs. So again, I'm coming from engineering. Is it jumping? No? Okay, on now. I'm coming from engineering, so I'll hold this off the stand. Primary and middle school engineering clubs are also increasing. So online resources for high school computer science, also good news. 59% of students in 2018 were using free online resources, and 33% were using paid online resources. These are all good news, but I would say that none of these are the majority, right? I would like to see all of these be in the majority of our schools. So my argument is technology-driven engineering and coding programs are often undersupported. And so we ask why. Well, we know all of the struggles. I don't need to tell everyone that. So I would argue instructors typically ask for resources in a subject they feel prepared to teach. So specifically for engineering, and this is my industry, how well are you prepared to teach engineering? This question was asked to teachers across the U.S. In primary schools, only 3% of teachers said they were very well prepared to teach engineering concepts. In middle school, that goes to 12%, and in high school, specifically physics teachers, they were ranked as the #1 teacher group to teach engineering concepts. They only said 16% of the time they felt very well prepared to teach engineering concepts. You can see that somewhat and not prepared are the majority in all cases. So let's ask some general questions. How do we increase access to the STEAM curriculum in high school? I would say that introducing specialized STEAM electives can greatly enrich a student's high school experience. That's great. Can one person teach all the STEAM electives? Absolutely not. Instructors cannot be expected to be well-versed to teach all STEAM subjects, right? Especially specific electives. So, and can schools hire a big team of STEAM instructors? Probably not, right? We know this. School size and budget and student interest might decrease that opportunity. So the question we get from the top down all the time is, do students even want these classes? Do they want specialized STEAM electives? Are they going to be motivated? Well, in a study done in 2006 on student motivation, it was found that when a student was able to choose their own elective on this index, they ranked as 97, right? It's an index, not a percent. So the highest rating was when the students got to choose their own electives. When they got to choose between required classes, 92, when they were given required classes, 73, and electives that they were given, so not part of the core curriculum, only 70, students want to choose their own electives. This study, the conclusions were, secondary school students should be provided opportunities to enroll in classes based on contextual factors such as autonomy, competence, and relatedness. The other conclusion, secondary school students should be provided opportunities to enroll in non-traditional programs such as alternative schools and web-based virtual schools in order to tailor curricula to meet their interests and values. Again, 2006. Does anyone remember online education in 2006? It looked like this. I remember it well. In 2006, Moodle was projecting like 200 institutions, I believe. Canvas now has 4,000 institutions. And online education is here, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Over 50% of college students in 2019 took an online class on an annual basis. So how have we been able to introduce courses to high school students? Well, we're a specialized school. We've worked with UCSD Futures. They have a funding grant through California. These grants are available. There are free resources available. But we've been able to introduce AutoCAD and Revit, industry software, to high school students. And this has been a very successful program. So what do we do with our curriculum that makes it successful? Well, we use hands-on, real-world, project-based curriculum. I like this quote, "Today's education system does not focus enough on teaching children to solve real-world problems and is not interdisciplinary nor collaborative enough in its approach." So bear with me, I'm going to break down our curriculum a little bit. So we do hands-on, real-world, project-based curriculum. This is, again, architecture, engineering, construction, and visual design. So all of our projects are hands-on. The students are always in the software, always following along with the instructors. The projects are real world. Every project we teach is from a real world project in the built environment. There's no tool-based learning, it's all project-based. So the students work through a project and they end with portfolio pieces. Our instructors are all practicing professionals. We do not have any full-time instructors on staff. They are all working in the field at their jobs. The instructors are architects, landscape architects, engineers, and estimators, et cetera, et cetera. Our instructors also are held to training standards. They should be regularly trained to ensure quality, and all of our instructors are certified in the software that they teach. And all of our courses are online, flexible schedules, so the students get to set their own pace. This is a common problem. I heard it talked about yesterday. Seat time is challenging for different types of students, right? Some students are going to move quickly with concepts, and some students will take more time. Online asynchronous allows for that flexibility. And our instructors happen to be available 7 days a week, and our team internally is available more during the regular school hours, but the instructors respond with help articles, industry articles, and customized video responses. We firmly believe in micro-credentials as opposed to traditional degrees. We offer digital badges for our educational experiences. We want students to have a record of their educational journey. This is very, very important for us. So all of our programs come with these digital badges and more. Also, certifications in the industry are important. Depending on the job students might be attempting to pursue. Upon taking our courses, students are prepared to take industry certifications. These are provided by the software companies, so Autodesk and Adobe. We also develop the test prep courses that are for free online through Autodesk, excuse me. The key here is building a diverse portfolio. So I'll just read off the slide here. Micro-credentials and digital badges offer students the ability to keep a record of their educational accomplishments. Diverse skill trees will be desirable for emerging industries. I heard someone last year say that his children will have jobs that don't exist today, and those children were entering senior year of high school and freshman year of college. So in 4 years, the jobs are going to be unimaginable right now. So diversifying a skill tree and keeping a digital record is extremely important. So what courses do we offer? I'll just give you a quick overview of some of our top-level courses. AutoCAD, you might have heard this name. It's been around for quite some time. It's the global CAD standard. AutoCAD is used by 85% of engineers and architects. We work through a residential project in these courses. Revit is the global BIM standard, also made by Autodesk. It's used by 75% of architects for 3D projects. We also teach SketchUp. It's not on the slide. It's the other 3D platform used by architects and woodworkers and landscape architects. The Revit course works through some commercial projects. And then, of course, Photoshop. We know the noun, we know the verb. We teach it, again, in project-based courses. These are real-world Photoshop applications. The students can end with portfolio pieces and be prepared to work on the job. So here's our LMS. We saw Moodle earlier. Here's ours, right? The students can access through desktop, tablet, mobile, watch the videos, and follow along in the software. Okay, so Virtual Design Construction Institute. That's what we do. Hands-on, real-world, project-based curriculum. All courses follow real-world projects and feature step-by-step processes describing tools, workflows, and best practices in the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. I cannot stress enough how important it is to give our students access to what they will be doing. In early age curriculum, it's fun to explore, it's fun to solve problems. When students get to high school, it is fun to build trebuchets, don't get me wrong, but what they're itching for is knowledge about what lies ahead, giving them access to real-world projects in industries that are very hard to get internships in, even though my colleague said micro-internships. I'm intrigued by that. It's hard to get internships. You want to give them real-world experience as best you can. Learning from practicing professionals. Again, talked about just before I got up here. A surgeon would not have an excuse to ignore the next best practice. Our instructors have the same motivation because they're practicing. When I was at Penn State, the instructors basically retired from practicing. They would hit us with theory, they'd hit us with knowledge. When we asked them how to do something to prepare for our jobs, we didn't get any of that training. So our instructors are practicing. They will always be practicing. That's one of our core policies. And they're all certified to teach in the software, and they get classroom training. Asynchronous, giving students the flexibility to not only choose their courses, but to choose their own schedule, allows them and empowers them to take control of their own schedule. And then finally, digital badges and certifications. Giving students a digital record of their educational journey and a digital record of their competencies is the most powerful tool we can give them as educators, especially in specialized curriculum. All right, so my question to you all is, what do you want to learn? We have a booth out in the hall. We're just to the right. You can see our computers on the desk. We're offering a free course to everyone at the conference. So if you come by and give us your info, we will get you in one of our courses. I've heard it all yesterday and today. I can't do it. I'm not ready. It's not for me. All of our courses are designed for 0 engineering skill, 0 architectural skill. If you use a computer on a daily basis and you know how to click the buttons on a mouse, you can learn these softwares. And so I encourage you all to come check us out and to ask about the courses and give it a shot for yourself. All right, questions? Yeah, thank you.
So are you doing anything to get into the high schools and try and get these as part of electives, and what process are you going through to do that?
That's a great question. So we are comfortable partnering with anyone who comes to us. I was fortunate enough to take over the company following the passing away of the founder. So it's a new company for me, and right now I'm getting us back on track with some of our national accreditation for adult education. And so we're taking the things that come to us right now. We're comfortable getting into a school where people need to meet us. But other than being here, having a booth, we're not able to do too much outreach to high schools. But if you want to talk to me, I'm ready to start that conversation. And we partnered with UCSD for a while with their adult learners. They got the funding for high schools. I think this is an excellent opportunity. See if a regional entity is getting this type of funding to start these services. They're almost always powered by a practicing professional. An extension college, community colleges, often they're practicing professionals. So, great question.
Well, thank you for sharing about the STEAM. I have heard about the word STEAM before, so I just would like to ask a little bit of clarification. So what I'm hearing from your programs and an excellent way to add, but I have a hard time relate the art word there. I'm thinking more on application, right? Like when you do about STEAM, because the application of using the software and helping the student right at the beginning to familiarize themselves with the industry.
Yeah.
But art to me is something a little bit different. So can you elaborate a little bit about that? And is there a standard for STEAM? Because I heard about STEM a lot, but is that a standard, or is it like depend on our interpretation?
Yeah, there's no standard when it comes to art, and I think that's why it's important to include it in STEAM compared to STEM. We've talked a lot about potentially people who'd be labeled as a remedial learner. That was me growing up. I was able to explore creating in the real world and in the digital world through my artistic tendencies, but I channeled that into engineering and architecture. Architecture is an arts degree, right? It is all about creating and designing something that will be built by engineers who take care of all the math for us, right? That's where we'll get a consultant for that. So when we talk about this idea of how art is integrated into STEAM, what we want to do is give students the tools to empower their own art. So our adult learners especially, at the end of our programs, there's a capstone project. And I don't have any slides about it, but if you come over to the booth, I'd love to show you some. Some of the artistic projects people are doing, not only in what we would consider traditional artistic software like Photoshop or Illustrator, but it's just artistic expression through architecture, or artistic expression through SketchUp, or some of these other softwares. Art is all around us, like the gentleman said yesterday to his lawyer buddy, who wasn't quite a buddy, if I remember correctly. But art is all around us, even in architecture. So it depends on how the student wants to channel that moving forward.